Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, is the honeymoon over for Cosatu and the ANC? Well, yesterday, delegates called for the Union Federation to consider divorcing the governing party. They're already behaving like an estranged couple. ANC National Chair Gwede Mantashe was booed off stage. Members say they're tired of the party's empty promises. Let's speak now to political analyst Dr Zamokuhle Mbandlwa. Doctor, good morning and thank you very much for your time. You know, what we saw yesterday, to some doesn't come as much of a surprise purely because articles leading up to that Congress just Sunday were suggesting that whomever is going to speak would be heckled. And in this instance, it was Mr. Mantashe because we had the President Cyril Ramaphosa attending the event in Soweto for Mamwini Matikizela's birthday celebration, actually, her 86th. So is it really that much of a surprise to you what happened yesterday?
Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers at home. It's really not surprising what has happened because if really you look at the relationship between the ANC and the workers in general, you can tell that the relationship is not good at all. Now look, the ANC has failed to pay its own employees for a couple of months, and how can it really facilitate issues of salary increase and negotiation of employees who are outside of the ANC, particularly those who are mainly in unions? So of course there is a relationship breakdown, and I think the ANC itself, the national leadership, have seen this coming, but of course they couldn't find a way to stop it. And currently I don't think there will be a good relationship between the ANC and the Cosatu because the leaders are singing a different tune compared to the members of the unions. And if you look at what's happening now, it's quite a very broken relationship.
And that really becomes the big talking point, the leadership being divorced from the issues of the workers, because they seem to enjoy a great relationship with the leadership of the African National Congress. So it almost seems as if the alliance now is more united at a leadership level, but not at the bottom, where people are faced with daily realities of either be it unemployment or high cost of living, all of those things. So what does it say when you have a leadership that is very comfortable or has a great relationship with an alliance partner that does not pay its staff on time?
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. The relationship is broken. Look, generally, the politics are supposed to liberate the majority of the people. But what we see in the unions and in the ANC is liberate only a few individuals, because they are pushing each other. You know, when the person wants to be elected into power, they do so because they want to liberate themselves and their friends and the people that have proximity to resources. So now, if you look at what is happening now, and people have identified that, because people live the same life when they are still at a lower level. But once they reach higher levels, their life change and they don't care what is happening below them or those who are below who they are leading. So what is happening in unions now is also happening in the ANC. You know, when people want to be elected into power, they can do whatever it takes, but once they are in power, they forget about those who have elected them into power. And and in this case, the leadership of the federation movement, particularly the unions, they are enjoying a very flamboyant lifestyle because they have proximity to government resources. They are seconded, they are leading. Some of them are even leading in portfolios in government. Some of them are in critical positions in government. So, of course, you cannot fight for issues of general population or your constituency when you are taken care of by the leadership in government. So, of course, you will only fight if you are also affected by circumstances. But if you are not included in the difficulties or hardships of the people, then for you, all you have to do is to neutralize the people so that the people will not fight. And I think what has happened in the Cosatu Congress is exactly the same, because the leadership of Cosatu can only speak with no actions to reprimand the actions of the ANC or the government, because I think 2 years ago, there was an issue of employees who did not receive their salary increment. But the unions, you know, they were not very vocal at a top level, only at a lower level. Like few weeks ago, I think Pop was fighting against the same issues. But you couldn't see the national leadership of Cosatu rallying behind, not only rallying behind the corporal, but also seem to be fighting for a cause that the corporal is fighting for, not only to talk. Because when leaders see that the constituency is actually not happy about their actions, they start to talk, but they have power to make things, to change things. But they don't do so because why? They are also part of the system. They are benefiting into the system. So you can't fight with the system that is beneficiary to you.
That's honestly very difficult because some even criticized them with that workers' rally back in May. That was a missed opportunity to meaningfully deal with the issues. It was an increase of 1,000 rand that those workers wanted. It had been too long. But it seemed that beyond that point, they didn't follow through for the workers. And as much as there was a conversation where the president had committed there that they will get their 1,000 rand, it came down to the employer who said, no, they're not getting their 1,000 rand. We even spoke to the employer to say, and he stressed that, no, we have checked on our finances. It's something that we cannot do. So whatever was committed to them by the African National Congress cannot be then implemented by us. So it seems that this type of a situation has been bubbling insofar as the leadership is concerned and their ability to address matters of the workers and somehow wield that power that they used to wield in sort of bargaining in favor of their workers.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, the problem is leaders only remember about the power of the masses only when it's time for elections. Because even the Cosatu leadership today, they can talk about, they can be seen as people who are representing the interest of workers, simply because of the Congress mood, because they know that there will be a time where they need to go back to the people and also mobilize the people to vote for them. You know, when people want to be elected, they speak the voice, they speak the language of the people that they must elect. They need to elect them. But immediately when they are in power, they just forget, and they enjoy the benefit. But once they see that they are losing the ground, they are losing the support, then they go back to the people before the end of the term of the office, so that they'll be seen as relevant people, because there is no way that people, will elect you if you are not part of them, if you are not seen to be addressing their difficulties or their challenges. But I think the political majority of people of South Africa shows that people now are liberated in their minds. They are able to see this, particularly on the political parties, particularly in the ruling party. Because what has happened last year is a sign. It was a warning shot for the liberation movement to say people are now liberated, they are able to take decisions on their own, regardless of the influence of the political leaders. They are able to think for themselves, because you cannot keep making promises forever. Like your introduction, you said it's a broken relationship. When people are in a romantic relationship, when you keep making promises, people are, they part ways. And the ANC have a social contract with the public, with the population. And if the relationship is broken, then people will have to part ways with the ruling party. And also, again, in the workers' unions, because what we've seen happening now, recently, yesterday, is a sign that people are saying, you are the leadership of Cosatu, you have invited the ANC to come and address us. But we, as the members of the unions, we are saying to you, we don't want to be addressed by the ANC, because this is not an attack to Gwede Mantashe as such. This is an attack to the ANC itself at large. And the people are clearly saying, we as workers, we don't have faith in the ANC. The ANC must sort its own affairs and come and deal with issues of workers correctly, because at the moment, they are saying workers are not represented, they are not taken care of by the current government of the ANC. It's not an attack of an individual, and I think people should know that, because even if it was the president himself, the people were going to do the same thing. But what I want to say, Nomfundo, is the relationship between Cosatu and the ANC at a higher level could be good, but people on the ground are not happy, and they are showing their anger now in this conference. And I don't think any leader of the ANC was going to enjoy the welcome of workers in that particular platform.
But then just in closing, strategically looking at this relationship, would it still serve its purpose now? I mean, they've attained democracy. You have a situation where here you've got a labor movement that wants to be in an alliance with a governing party. It is in power, and in most instances, it is neither left nor right. It's more to the center, and at times leaning towards neoliberal policies. So what would you think you would benefit from such a political party? Because, or at least if it's one that is in government, who has to ensure that to a certain extent even capital finds a home in the country. They must be able to invest. They won't always favor the workers. Is it really beneficial to stay in an alliance with a ruling political party? Maybe the SACP, yes, as a communist party, but a ruling African National Congress.
Yeah. No, you are raising a pertinent point. If you look at the relationship now, it's actually broken, and it's not only broken now, for quite some time. And the center is not holding, because the ANC used to be the center of all the federations that they had. They used to be, to provide a directive or a direction to all the other alliance partners, such as the Cosatu, the SACP, and all other partners in the movement. But now, the center is not holding. If the collapse of the issues of the ANC, the divisions in the ANC, are also affecting the SACP, they are affecting the Cosatu and all other partners, even the leagues of the ANC. Now, based on that, it's very difficult for the ANC to provide a direction to the other organization when itself is still find itself wanting, not knowing what is the future of the ANC itself. You have so many people who are contesting position. You have about 3 or 4 people who want to be deputy president, and then you have about 4 people who also want to be president. So there is no way that there could be a good relationship, because the house of the ANC is not in order. So you can't really look outside if your house is not in order. So I think that is the main problem. But number 2, I want to say the Cosatu itself was more relevant during the apartheid era because it was fighting against the government. But now it's very difficult for Cosatu to fight with the government of the democratic revolution. At the same time, the government, the Cosatu is part of the decision-making of the ANC. They sit in critical structures of the ANC, whereby ANC in government is making decisions against workers and also with regards to the economy. So it's very difficult to be a referee and a player at the same time. So that is why when Cosatu speak, they speak with limitation. They can't speak openly and say, we are against the government of the ANC, because they are part of the ANC. It's their government. So it's very difficult. I feel sorry for the leadership, because they cannot fight with the ANC. Only workers themselves, only members themselves can fight for their right. They can fight for what they think is good for them. But the leadership at this point, I don't see them fighting for the rights of the workers.
It will be interesting to find out what comes out of that Congress this week. Thank you very much, though, Doctor, for your time. That was political analyst Dr. Zamokuhle Mbandlwa.